What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. I asked you on Twitter and YouTube, for those of you that have watched a lot of my pre-season content, what have I got wrong? What mistakes have I made in terms of saying a player is a good or a bad pick? And in this video, I'm going to discuss it. Am I wrong, or do I stand by my original point? Let's get into it. So let's start with Gyökeres and Watkins. This is what a couple of people said to me. You said Gyökeres was going to be a rotation risk. I know we haven't seen him play too much, but I find that really hard to believe. Arteta hardly rotates, so when he's in the team, he won't get taken out. I think Gyökeres is a much better option than Watkins. Watkins in the latter half of the season wasn't a certain starter. I know Rashford and Asensio have gone, but I expect Villa to strengthen in attack, especially with the uncertainty around Watkins' future. So let's go through step by step. On Gyökeres being a rotation risk, I think what I said was people underestimate how much Mikel Arteta likes Havertz and that he can play that number 9 role pretty well. So if he was fully fit to start the season, especially given Gyökeres hasn't been available for all of pre-season for Arsenal, there is every chance that Havertz could start game week 1 against Man United away. And if it goes well, maybe he starts in game week 2, perhaps Gyökeres gets a couple of minutes off the bench and then slowly builds to becoming that first choice number 9 that is never rotated. So that's all I was thinking with game week 1 squads, is that Gyökeres is not guaranteed to start. It's worth saying though, I'm recording this on Thursday morning. Last night, Arsenal played a pre-season game and Havertz wasn't in the squad because apparently he's got a small injury. So we'll have to see if he's available for the final pre-season game, because if he's not, then yes, I think Gyökeres will start and there's not really any issues there. Just on Gyökeres himself, it's worth saying he didn't train for about a month or two after Sporting won the league, and then he's had minutes off the bench against Spurs, 1 start for Arsenal in pre-season, which was about 62 minutes. That's it. So let's see how many minutes he plays in the final game. He might not be completely fit to just play 90 minutes in game week 1, whether or not Havertz is available. So I don't think he's necessarily going to become a massive rotation risk. I think Havertz will get used in that number 9 more than people are giving credit to. And also, when you say Arteta hardly rotates, that's because he hasn't had the options to rotate. If Gabriel Jesus stays, and so does Havertz, and they're both fully fit and available, so is Gyökeres, you will see a bit of a minutes reduction for all of them. And it's not to say Gyökeres won't start every game, but he could get subbed early. We just don't know. That's why I've always preferred Watkins at the same price point, because the fixtures are better. Like, remember, Arsenal have got Man United away to start the season. Not terrible, but maybe we'll see a better Man United this year. Liverpool away in 3, City at home in 5, Newcastle away in 6. Aston Villa's hardest game on paper is probably Newcastle at home in game week 1. Then it's Brentford away, Palace at home, Everton away, Sunderland away, Fulham at home, and it's Burnley in game week 7. So the fixtures are better. You know Watkins is definitely going to start. He may well be on penalties as well. And I understand what you're saying about Villa strengthening an attack, but I don't think they're going to bring in a number 9 that massively competes with Watkins in terms of minutes. It could happen, and obviously we'll keep an eye on that. And there are still links with Watkins moving clubs. I just don't think it's going to happen, not this late in the window. Like, how would the Villa replace Watkins at this stage? I just don't think they can do it. So I think Watkins is a safe. When I say safer, by the way, we use that in a negative way. When I say Watkins is a safer pick for game week 1, what I'm actually saying is I think he's a better pick, just because there's doubts around Gyökeres. But if Havertz is out to start the season, Gyökeres plays good minutes in the final pre-season game, I'm willing to change my mind. But looking at the two, if I'm spending 9 million right now, if the deadline's tomorrow, I'm picking Watkins still. So whether you're putting Gyökeres into your draft, Watkins, neither, or both, we do only have a week to go until the game week 1 deadline now. It's time to start thinking about how that final team is going to look. And if you want to get your current teams rated for free, you can do so over on the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub, link in the description below, or scan that QR code on screen. And the nice thing about it is it's really quick and easy to use, because you can just import a screenshot of your team, whether you're on the app like I am or on the website. So I'm just going to put one of my recent drafts in there, which features a player we're going to talk about later, Lucas Paquetá. It populates the team really quickly. You can just save that plan, and then you can even optimize it, sort of show you which players should be in the first 11 for each given week. Completely free to get your team rated. If you've got multiple different teams, you can compare them as well. Just click that link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. So you've instantly ruled out Pedro Neto as an option. While Chelsea do have a lot of attacking players, Maresca won't have had more than 2 weeks pre-season with the new arrivals. Neto is likely to get good minutes in the early game weeks, as he isn't new to the system and has shown he can be trusted. For what it's worth, I completely agree with you in terms of the first few game weeks. He's definitely starting game week 1 if he's fit and available, probably game weeks 2 and 3 as well. After that, it's the international break. Things might change. Transfer window shuts after game week 3. Chelsea always being linked to more and more attackers. First few game weeks, probably okay. Is that enough to buy him at 7 million though? For 7 million, if he's fit and available, I can go and buy Morgan Rogers, going to play 80 to 90 minutes every single game for Aston Villa. Can go and get Semenyo from Bournemouth. Yes, Liverpool away is not great game week 1. Fixtures afterwards are pretty good. He's almost certainly a 90-minute man. He doesn't have much competition for his place. His underlying numbers are better than Pedro Neto. I just don't see why you would spend 7 million on him. He's fine for the first few weeks enough to spend 7 million. His output has never been that good in FPL. And I appreciate he hasn't always had great minutes, but that's part of the problem with him. So last year, in 2,200 minutes for Chelsea, 4 goals, 6 assists. The season before in 1,500, 2 goals, 11 assists. This guy doesn't score many goals. To put it into perspective, Semenyo, who everyone got really frustrated with last year, scored 11 goals. Pedro Neto has scored in total over 6 seasons. He scored 6, 11, 14, 15 goals over 6 seasons. This is not a guy that's going to score much. Yes, he might get the odd assist, but you're paying for the odd assist and the odd goal for 7 million for a player that you can't even guarantee will still be first choice after game week 3. And even if he is first choice, he's going to get subbed early in a lot of games. I just don't see him playing 90 minutes that much. So he's fine as an option, a bit like Enzo Fernandes, but I really don't think he's any more than that. I think in most cases, you're better off getting a different 7 million midfielder or just saving some money and investing it elsewhere. So I haven't seen a single content creator go for no Liverpool and admit they have horrible fixtures. I haven't seen one serious no Salah draft yet. Yes, Liverpool have only got better, but the way Wirtz, Frimpong and Ekitike play doesn't complement Salah's game. Personally, I'm going without until probably game week 13 and will free hit Salah and 2 others in for Burnley away in game week 4. On the first point about content creators, they will not get everything right over the course of a season, and I absolutely include myself in that. So if you've got a strong opinion that no Liverpool is the way to go, just build a Haaland-only draft or a no Salah, no Haaland draft. It's absolutely viable, and you should go with what you think. On the Wirtz, Frimpong and Ekitike thing, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm some mastermind football tactician because I'm absolutely not. You could be right about that, but we have 8 seasons of Salah being one of the best attackers the Premier League has ever seen. Not just Liverpool, the Premier League. I've got no doubts he'll find a way to get goals and assists. And ultimately, that's Arne Slot's job. You get your best attacker doing well, and Salah is their best attacker. So in terms of him having a drop-off, it could happen. He's not going to score as many points as last year, for example, but he's still probably going to be pretty decent. On the fixtures, I think to say they're horrible, I don't agree with. Like Bournemouth at home in game week 1 is fine. And also you have to consider that Liverpool are one of the best teams in the league, if not the best. So when they have a poor run of fixtures, it's not as bad as, Burnley having the same set of fixtures, for example. Bournemouth at home is fine. Newcastle away have got a good team, but they've not really made too many, transfers in at the moment. They're still trying to get players. It's not happening for them. It maybe isn't the worst time to play Newcastle, but I will agree it's not an amazing fixture. Arsenal at home is tough, but both games against Arsenal last year, home and away in the league, 2-2. And Salah scored in one of those. Not to say he'll do it again. I think Arsenal defence is great, but they could be quite open. Burnley away is good. Everton at home on paper is fine, although the fact it's a Merseyside derby means you don't quite know exactly what you're going to get, but it is at home. Palace away is okay. Chelsea away is not great. Man United at home is probably going to be fine, especially if they play like last year. So it's quite mixed, but I don't think they're horrible set of fixtures. And ultimately, Salah is an amazing player. So it's hard to sit here and admit that he's a bad pick. But honestly, I could go into game week 1 with just Salah. I might have Salah and Van Dijk. I might have Van Dijk, Wirtz and Salah. But it's potential for me to go into game week 1 with just Salah. So I don't think, Liverpool players are essential. Like the only ones I'm really considering are Van Dijk, Wirtz and Salah. Gakpo might be okay, but I'm not completely ruling out Liverpool buying a new left winger, which puts me off. So, yeah, the fixture run's not amazing. I think it's fine, though. I think there's some good fixtures in there. And Salah, the idea that, Wirtz, Frimpong and Ekitike means that Salah's game is going to go down. I just can't agree with that whatsoever. The guy is just too good. So I find the refusal to even discuss Ola Aina at Nottingham Forest bizarre. Last year, he got 128 points without defensive contributions, and he's 0.5 million cheaper than both Murillo and Milenkovic. He's at least worth considering unless you know something that I don't. So maybe I should have mentioned him in my defender video. I got asked a question about Forest defenders the other day. I discussed Murillo, Milenkovic and Nico Williams, but not Aina. Basically, I think he's the worst Forest defender to pick in your FPL team. His underlying data in terms of attacking threat last year, 0.01 expected goals per 90, 0.06 expected assists. You compare that to Nico Williams, 0.08 expected goals, 0.05 expected assists. So slightly more attacking. Then you look at the defensive contributions. Aina's the worst of their back four, 5.97, and those stats are per start. So 5.97, you need to get to 10 as a defender to hit the +2 points. Aina's going to do that almost never. Nico Williams, again, same price, 8.43. So Aina did get more points than Nico Williams last year, but that was primarily because he played more minutes. And at the moment, that back four looks pretty nailed. Nico Williams wasn't always nailed last year. Moreno played some games. I think going into this season, he's pretty clearly first choice. So at 5 million, Nico Williams is better, in my opinion. And if you're going to spend the extra 0.5, you've got Murillo, who's amazing for defensive contributions. 10.5 per start is pretty incredible when you have to hit 10 to get those +2 points. He's going to do that pretty regularly. So, yeah, Aina's the worst Forest defender, in my opinion, as long as these four all play similar minutes. I think Thiago is more of a risk than you're talking about. We don't know if he'll actually be good in the Brentford side that have lost a lot of players. He feels more of a wait and see, plus he himself had a big injury and hasn't played for a while. It's worth saying, I've got no idea whether Thiago is definitely going to be a good pick or not, but sometimes in FPL you've got to take a bit of a leap of faith, especially if you can foresee some value. So for me, I'm seeing a player that's 6 million. I'm pretty sure is going to be first choice number 9 for Brentford this season. Like, Visser is still at the club, it's worth saying. He is training and stuff like that. But all the talk going around in the media is that he still wants to go. And I think the way he's behaved, if they get a good fee for him, they will just take it. So I think Thiago is 6 million. He's going to be nailed as the number 9. The minutes should be good, although I agree I probably haven't talked about that injury enough. And I also think he'll get penalties. And if you look at his stats from previous club in the Belgium League, 0.54 expected goals per 90, pretty good. Now, of course, that's a completely different league to the Premier League. There is no guarantee that will translate to good points in FPL, but he's only 6 million. If he was 7.5, you would not have seen him in my drafts whatsoever. Probably not even at 7 either. And at 6.5, I'd probably be looking for more of a sure thing like Strand Larsen. But at 6 million, I can talk myself in to taking that risk. Like, if it doesn't pay off, what is it the end of the world? Probably not. I do want to be careful about saying things like that, though, because I said similar things about Nkunku last year, and that was an absolute disaster. So I fully agree. I've not talked about the risks enough with him, and he didn't play hardly any football last year because of that injury. That might mean that he needs to be taken care of by the Brentford team, you know, in the first few weeks. He might not play 90 minutes every single week. So you're right. I haven't talked about the risk enough. That injury could be a problem. But I am just seeing plenty of value there. The fixtures are okay. I think he's going to play that number 9 role. Visser hasn't really had much of a pre-season anyway, so I'm pretty confident Thiago starts game week 1. And someone has to take penalties without Mbeumo there. And if Visser's not going to be there either, who else is there? I think Thiago will get them. So, yes, you're right. Bit of a risk. I still like him for 6 million, though. Okay, then here we go. You are overvaluing Bruno Fernandes again. The main reason is his expected goal involvement is skewed more towards assists, which are worth less points than goals. What most people don't factor in are the past few seasons, Man United have had several players who have underperformed their XG. So Bruno is underperforming on assists. While he's not a bad option, you and others are overvaluing him as a pick relative to his price. Now, I'm going to say straight away, as much as I've had Bruno Fernandes in my team quite a lot over the last couple of seasons, and because he's in my team and my team features in my videos, I have talked about him quite a bit. I have not recommended him as a pick for quite a long time, at least not consistently. If you don't rate Bruno Fernandes at 9 million, please do not buy him. He will frustrate you. So you don't have to have him in your team. And I'm not completely convinced he's good value at 9 million either. In terms of his expected goal involvement, according to the Opta stats on Fantasy Football Hub, 0.22 expected goals per 90 non-penalty, 0.24 expected assists. So it's quite similar goal threat versus creativity. And he got 10.08 defensive contributions on average per start. So he did pretty well in that regard. So he's going to chip in with attack and returns. He's going to get the odd defensive contribution. He's on penalties. He's very consistent in terms of you know what you get. On the underperformance on expected assists, I mean, they've got Mbeumo and Cunha now, might be getting Chesko. You'd hope that will go up. So maybe he will get more assists this year. My main problem is I don't know exactly where he's going to play. Like, if Mbeumo and Cunha are going to play as the 10s and Chesko's up front, that means Bruno Fernandes has to sit deeper. Yes, that's better for defensive contributions, but I do not want to pay 9 million for a player primarily for defensive contributions. I want the attacking threat as well. And the problem is we're not going to see Man United with Cunha and Mbeumo and potentially a new number 9 in pre-season. So we don't know how they're going to set up. Could Mbeumo play right wing back sometimes and Bruno play in the 10? Ultimately, if he's not going to play in the 10 that much, I don't think he's that good. And if that happens, maybe it's just not worth the risk to start with him. Like Fulham away in 2 is not bad. Burnley at home in 3 is fine. But if he's going to play as like an 8, a bit deeper, I don't like him as a pick all that much. So there is some risk there. And at 9 million, he is far from essential. I do think some of the value with Bruno, by the way, and I think this is hard to measure, which is why people don't talk about it, is he's not going to cause you any issues in terms of he's always fit and he's always going to play. And there is value in having players like that because you can deal with other stuff that comes up instead. But how to measure that I find really difficult. And for 9 million, maybe you want more than that. So am I overvaluing him again? Potentially. I'm open to agreement on that. I still think I'm probably going to start with him though. This is not necessarily a mistake, but why no hype for Paquetá at West Ham? He's nailed either playing as an 8 or a left 10, depending on the setup. He's on penalties, played well in pre-season. The betting charges are no longer on his mind, and he has good fixtures. I don't see how Minter and Tielemans, etc. are better. Now, one of the reasons you're not seeing too much hype about him is I think a lot of people are struggling to get their head around defensive contributions because Paquetá's numbers in terms of open play goal threat and creativity are not all that good based on last season. 0.14 expected goals per 90, 0.12 expected assists. Like, it's okay-ish, but it's not great. But when you factor in that he got 9.15 defensive contributions per start on average, well, he's going to pick up some of those points as well, and he's probably first choice penalty taker. At 6 million, suddenly he's a solid option. He's one of those players you can just put in and leave. He'll pick up consistent enough returns over the fixtures that West Ham have got. So I agree, at 6 million, he's a good price. I think him and Tielemans are very similar. I think Villa's fixtures are better, but there is probably a bit more doubt about whether he definitely has penalties. Watkins could have them as well. Whereas I think at West Ham, it could be Fulkrug, maybe it could be Bowen, but I'm pretty confident Paquetá is first choice. So yeah, at 6 million, he's good. It's just that a lot of the times when I put drafts together, I find that 0.5 million just going for Anderson instead is quite handy. But Paquetá is not out of the running for my Game Week 1 team. I know Pep Roulette is annoying, but Marmoush is Man City's second best attacker. I can't see Doku starting ahead of him. Man City's fixtures look good from an attacking perspective, and we shouldn't forget how good City's attack can be. Completely agree on that last point. I think if we look at the Premier League table after the first 6 to 8 weeks at goals scored, Man City will probably be in the top 3. So Marmoush is potentially a really good option. He hasn't featured in any of my drafts really so far, but he's the kind of player that I will consider more and more the closer we get to that Game Week 1 deadline because of what he can do and the fact the fixtures are pretty good. So I'm not completely ruling him out. And I've said before, if you think that Marmoush gets very similar minutes to Wirtz at Liverpool, I think Marmoush is the better option because the opening fixtures are probably slightly better and his goal threat is higher. And obviously goals are worth more than assists. So I do think there is reason to be interested in Marmoush. But your first part of what you said to me, I know Pep Roulette is annoying. That plays on my mind all the time. Marmoush really depends on what type of FPL manager you are. If you can put him in and he gets benched and you just think, okay, it can happen, he'll still be good going forward, then really do consider him. If he starts Wolves away, Spurs at home, Brighton away, and then gets randomly benched against Man United at home in Game Week 4, and that's going to frustrate you and you're going to be thinking all weekend about selling him, just don't put him in. He's very good. He's not so good that you need to get annoyed about your FPL team because then you'll start making bad decisions as well. My viewpoint on Man City attackers for about 5 seasons now is they are very, very good and extremely good value if the minutes are there. If you're confident in the minutes, pick Marmoush. If you're not, or you're going to get frustrated, just ignore him. There's other players you can pick instead. You're wrong about João Pedro. He was the best player at the Club World Cup. He's nailed on to start. When players come in and instantly play as well as he did, they are given game time. He could get subbed on the 70th minute, the 80th minute, but João Pedro is fantastic value at 7.5 million. I'm willing to admit I could be very wrong about João Pedro. He could be amazing playing that number 9 role for Chelsea for just 7.5. I guess what I've consistently said is I'm not sure he's as good as the ownership suggests. Like, he's a good pick at 7.5 million. Is he over 50% owned good? That's what I'm a little bit more unsure about. I'm coming around to him a little bit for my own squad, primarily because the rumours of Nicholas Jackson leaving Chelsea are not going away. I think if they get the right price, they will sell him. And I don't know if they'll buy another number 9. So then you're down to just Delap and João Pedro for that position primarily. So João Pedro will get decent minutes. So I think like Pedro Neto, he will start game week 1, probably 2, probably 3 as well. Longer term, it's just those doubts because of the amount of attackers Chelsea have. And then the rumours of them buying more and not going away. Xavi Simons, for example, Garnacho from Man United potentially could happen. All of a sudden, João Pedro is the number 9. You could have Palmer as the 10, Enzo Fernandez as the 10. If Liam Delap does start a game as the 9, João Pedro may well just be the number 10. And then Enzo plays alongside Caicedo and maybe Palmer goes to the right. But if you've also got Pedro Neto and Simons and maybe, Gittins is already there, potentially Garnacho as well, the minutes all round just become a lot more doubtful. So there is definitely a world where João Pedro is consistently playing week in, week out. But I don't think it's a guarantee. And for 7.5 million, I kind of ideally want a bit more than that. Like right now at the time of recording, you could argue he's the best option. Chris Wood might have a downturn in goals this season. The fixtures are good, but they're not scoring much in pre-season. Vissa, we don't know where he's going to end up. Mateta is okay, but not amazing either. Solanke, we don't even know if he's fit, although Spurs are playing the evening I'm recording this. So by the time you watch it, you will have seen whether Solanke gets minutes. João Pedro, you could argue, is the best 7.5. You don't have to have a 7.5 million forward. His goal threat last year is 0.24 expected goals per 90. It's okay. It's not amazing. He's not going to be on penalties. And early, when people say stuff like he's fantastic value, it doesn't matter if he gets subbed. It's easy to say until players start getting subbed regularly quite early and aren't getting returns. All of a sudden, it doesn't feel so great. So I'm willing to admit that my stance on João Pedro has probably been a bit harsh in terms of he's never been in my drafts. I don't think he's that great as an option. He could be brilliant, but I still don't think he's essential. And I'm certainly not convinced he's a 52.4% owned player. Is he that good? That's Salah and Palmer levels of ownership. Maybe I've got it wrong. The Club World Cup is doing a lot of work here. Had he not featured at the Club World Cup, I'm not sure anyone would be picking him. But to be fair, that's another bit of information you've got, so I completely get it. Yeah, I could be wrong on this. I still don't know if I'm going to start with him. But the more and more Jackson gets linked to moving away, the more and more likely it becomes. So Jhon Arias at 5.5 million is an absolute steal. He was the star with Fluminense and showcased his talent at the Club World Cup, playing amazing against European clubs. He scored 10 minutes into his Wolves debut and is a brilliant set-piece taker. Now, I don't know if I agree with absolute steal, but the fact that a lot of people expected him to come in at 6 or 6.5 tells you there is potentially a player that is underpriced there. I didn't really watch him that much at the Club World Cup at all, so I don't have that angle to go on. I looked at his underlying numbers from the previous season where he played more matches. 0.14 expected goals per 90, 0.18 expected assists. It's okay. Nothing to get majorly excited about. He may get penalties, but I think Strand Larsen will get them. And he could be on set pieces. It's hard to know because we haven't seen many matches with him. I think at 5.5, he's fine. I'd probably rather go for him than someone like a Dingra, for example. You can go for a more defensive pick like Anderson, of course, for the same price, good fixtures. Yeah, I think he's fine. I don't know if I agree he's an absolute steal, but he could become one if he gets all set pieces. I think after the City at home game, the fixtures are not that bad for Wolves. Bournemouth away, Everton at home in 2 and 3, Newcastle away, Leeds at home, Spurs away. Then the fixtures get a bit better afterwards. So yeah, if someone showed me their team and they had Arias in it at 5.5, there's no way I would argue against it. So absolute steal, maybe, maybe not, we'll see. But a good pick for 5.5 million. If you've enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I'm trying to hit 500k before the end of the season and get your team rated for free over on Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool using the link in the description below. I will catch you again soon for another video.